Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sweat, a Friday edition of the Sweat, presented by DraftKings. I'm Emerson Latzia. Still, we got best bets around the NBA, NHL, World Cup, and college football coming up, hopefully. But let's get cooking with the healthy dose of NFL over or under with DraftKings contributors, Pierce Dietrich and Jeff Ulrich. Damn, it is so good to see you two on our screen here on a Friday. Real quick, though, Thursday Night Football. Pierce, 49ers knocking off your boy Geno Smith, your team, the Seahawks, in Seattle, too, by the way. San Francisco, first team to clinch a division title this season. What'd you learn last night, Pierce?
Nothing, didn't watch. I had to write an NBA DK article today. So go to dknation.com and check out my NBA DFS article, 18 picks. So that's what I did my research on. Sorry.
Incredible. Okay, so do you know anything that went down last night besides
I
the
just
points that I have?
you.
First of all, don't go check out
articles. Don't write themselves, folks.
Don't click on it.
Okay, wait. So are you like upset right now that you had to do work and you couldn't watch the game? I mean, you're an analyst here, and I'm expecting you to do your damn job and tell me what you thought about that game last night. So you know what? Forget
I like
you.
writing articles.
I like reading.
I don't like watching Seattle lose.
Yeah, I know you don't.
It worked out well for me.
Yeah, well, did it? Seattle losing?
Well, I mean, I guess that's not ideal, but I didn't watch it.
Okay, Jeff, you're good at doing your job here, at least reacting to games. And I get it. We can't watch everything that happens. Pierce, I'm giving you crap for that. Jeff, is there something that you learned like last night? Because for me, I'm looking at Geno Smith and maybe, just maybe he was playing a little bit above his actual ability here the first half of the season. He's come crashing back down to earth.
I mean, he has and he hasn't. Like, I don't think you can put this Seattle kind of cratering on Geno Smith. They just don't have the horses. Like, they don't have a rush defense. Their O-line is letting Geno get sacked. A lot of the same issues. I mean, people are going to laugh, but like a lot of the same issues that they had with Russell Wilson are now coming to the forefront again. Their quarterbacks are getting sacked at an insane rate. Like they can't run the ball because their O-line stinks. Their defense is still terrible. Like they allow way too many rush yards. Christian McCaffrey, he just gashed this team into oblivion. And, I thought that the Seahawks could come out, get some of these problems fixed for a week, catch the 49ers off guard a little bit and make a game of this. And it just didn't happen. And I think it's not Geno Smith's fault. It's Pete Carroll's fault. He doesn't have his team prepared. He doesn't have the right, ingredients yet. And maybe with the draft picks that they got from Denver, they'll put it together next year. But like, Geno's still playing at a high rate. He's up there in yards per attempt. He looks good. It's just like you can only do so much. And he's going up against one of the best defenses in the league.
Yep, true.
Again, like Kyle Shanahan, I know everyone's talking about Sirianni out in Philly for coach of the year. Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in the NFL. Like hands down, preparation, offensive mind. Give me Shanahan all day here. It's just a tough spot, and Geno can't do it all himself. So,
Pierce, San Francisco sweeping the season series over Seattle for the first time since 2011. 49ers now 5-0 in the NFC West, which is very, very impressive here. But we got 3 games on Saturday as we move ahead now to the weekend. The nightcap between the Bills and the Dolphins, calling for temperatures below freezing, wind chill in the high teens, and snow. Lots and lots of glorious lake effect snow. So as for those passing props, Tua has the higher number. Last time I checked, 236.5. Josh Allen, 237.5 yards. Who's brave enough to take the over in this expected winter wonderland, Pierce?
Well, look, I get it. This is an over-under segment, so we want to talk about the over-unders. So I'll talk about it for a second, but the real bet is just taking the Bills to cover the spread. But going with the Tua situation, I would lean towards him going under simply because, as you mentioned yesterday, 0-3 in his 3 coldest games. He has his lowest quarterback rating in those games. He's from Hawaii, so it's probably not going to work out too well for him. And it never works out very well for the Dolphins. Maybe he gets there in garbage time. I wouldn't feel very comfortable with it. And if the weather just keeps getting worse, there's just no way. The real bet, though, is to take the Bills and lay the points. You go back the last 20 years and you look at when the Dolphins have to travel to Buffalo in November, December, and January. The Dolphins are 3-10 ATS, and many of those games are very lopsided. They're not close at all. The Bills whoop the Dolphins every time that they have to play in cold weather. That's the bet. If you want to take under on Tua as well, that's fine.
Okay. Jeff, I mean, feel free to go over or under on these, or if you just prefer to stay away, I mean, you can give us your best bet from this game too.
Yeah. So Tua is at 238.5. This number's obviously come down a lot. So, but realistically, they're just trying to get people to jump in on the over here. And I think that the only way he does get there is if there's some weird garbage time action. I mean, this is just a tough spot for a pass offense. I mean, it's a pass first offense and a quarterback who his strength just isn't, like throwing the ball through the air at a high velocity downfield. It's more quick timing throws. All that is thrown off when the weather goes to hell, quite frankly. And also just you're playing the Bills, who are now healthy with Tre'Davious White in the secondary. It's a really tough spot. I would be fine taking the under on both these guys. I really would. I think that the Bills are going to run the ball a lot, just like they did against the Jets. Allen's fine, but I mean, like they just haven't been throwing the ball that much. And I don't think they're going to need to do that in this game as well. They've been pretty effective running the ball with Cook and Singletary. I think both these guys are solid unders. If you're looking for overplays, people, just head down to Jacksonville and look at the quarterbacks in that game. That's where you're going to get your passing yardage. Sunny, Florida, Trevor Lawrence, and Dak Prescott. They might both go over their number, but as far as Tua and Allen goes, let's take unders on both these guys.
AFC Offensive Player of the Week, Trevor Lawrence.
Hell
that
yeah.
is to you. Hell yeah, brother. Pierce, maybe onto something though. Dolphins 1-5 ATS in their last 6 road games. Just been a tough team to bet on in general. 3-7 ATS in their last 10. Let's go to Sunday, because it's a board here on the DK Sportsbook that currently, Jeff, does not have a 50-point game total, but Kansas City visiting Houston is pretty damn close at 49.5. So over or under here?
I don't understand why everyone is so eager to bet on an over with Houston involved. Like, I just don't. I think it's a great.
I think we're reading into a lot of what happened in Dallas last week, right?
I think so, and like they kept the game close, and but even in that game against Dallas, like the total only got to 50 points. I think there's a couple things people are overlooking here. One, I think Kansas City knows that they had a lot of mistakes last week. Probably really going to try and clean that up. I think you'll just see them run the ball with Pacheco and potentially Jerick McKinnon a lot. And I think they're going to try and just limit their pass attempts, limit the turnovers. It's going to lead to a shorter game. On the other side too, like, let's give the Texans a little bit of credit. I don't really think that their pass defense here is their biggest problem. They have trouble against the run, but defensively, they don't allow a ton of big plays. They limited Dallas and Dak Prescott to under 7 yards per pass attempt last week. It's not a bad secondary. So you've got that working against the Chiefs as well. I think you're going to need Patrick Mahomes to put up like 5 touchdowns here to carry this game. I just don't know if that's in the game plan. So 49.5. Yeah, no, I really like the under here. Houston 5-8 to the under. They've been dragging teams under most of the year, have gone over 50 a couple times, but it's kind of just been in weird scenarios. And like I said, one of those times was last week when they barely got over this number. I think 49.5. You got to hammer the under here.
Do you have to hammer the under here, Pierce?
Yeah, I'll go with the under as well. And you guys are right. This seems to be a complete overreaction to last week, where the Texans had a pretty solid performance. But it's just, maybe it's the Dallas effect. We've seen the Texans play teams closely all season long. Now, typically it's a close loss and they're never really leading. In this case, it was a close loss and they had to lead late in the game. And so their projection is inflated a little bit. It really shouldn't be. We look at the larger sample size of the entire season. This is the most anemic offense in the league, and they're even worse now with fewer players and beat up players. I just don't see it. Their coach, Lovie Smith, he looks like Santa Claus, but he's not really giving out gifts. He's more of the lump of coal type of Santa Claus. So we're not going to get very many points from them. And as Jeff mentioned, Kansas City is going to clean things up. Did they make mistakes last week? Yes. But were they as bad as the box score indicates? I don't think so. I think that they played pretty good defense. They just went to prevent. And if they play prevent against Houston, Houston's probably not going to move the ball. I just don't see Houston getting a lot of points. And then Kansas City is really not that explosive. You look at their receivers, you look at their running backs, they're very good, but this is not the same Kansas City offense that we've seen in the past. Are they capable of a lot of points? Yes, they are. But why would they unleash all of their guns and go wild? They need to take it easy and just try to get into the playoffs, stay healthy, not really reveal all of their cards.
Yeah, biggest spread, by the way, on the board at 14, so 2 touchdown favorite. But while Kansas City has is among the betting favorites on the DK Sportsbook to win the Super Bowl. So third best odds currently at plus 500 here, guys. They're 0-5-1 ATS in their last 6 games. So the Cardinals lost Kyler Murray on Monday night. The Broncos lost Russell Wilson on Sunday afternoon. Colt McCoy, Brett Rippon. It feels like a defensive-minded toss-up in Denver here. So is this a spot to really target rushing props, Pierce?
This is a spot to stay completely away. Julian talked about this yesterday. Like when you bet these games, you're looking for maybe mistakes by the sports book or some sort of the public is going in the wrong direction. Maybe Russell Wilson being gone actually makes this offense a little bit better. I don't really know if that's necessarily the case, but this is 2 very ugly offenses. You really don't know what to expect from either of them. You do know that Denver's defense is really strong and can play. Probably is the only thing worth mentioning in this game. Occasionally, Arizona's defense steps up. Arizona has some weapons, but I don't trust Colt McCoy to get it to them consistently. For me, I'm just going to stay away from this game. It's just an ugly mess. The place to hammer is the off button or to hammer the change the channel button. Stay away from this game.
All right. Jeff Ulrich, what about you, man? I mean, like rushing props, stay away spot, something worth wagering on in this game?
I mean, look, the only thing I may be hammering before watching this game is an edible, but I mean, look, we actually don't have like full confirmation on Wilson like being in or out yet. He's actually been like moving around and practicing a little bit, so he may play. I don't know if that matters though. I mean, like I'm not projecting Denver for a ton of points, kind of like the Cardinals side in this game, to be honest. And if you look at what the Cardinals have done as an away underdog, 11-4 under Cliff Kingsbury, it's actually been like the one spot where he's kind of got his team prepared as that away underdog. I like James Conner overs in this spot. We don't have a total out yet on the DraftKings Sportsbook, but we'll probably get them today. Conner, was pretty effective last week with Colt McCoy, and the one thing that I think Kingsbury will realize, he doesn't want Colt McCoy running back there getting sacked 6 more times, because who knows who their third string quarterback is. And Conner gets a lot of attempts. You've got a terrible offense on the other side of the ball. So close point spread. I think Conner probably goes over. Denver doesn't have the greatest rush defense either. It's like kind of like just mid or even below average. So Conner is in a good spot here. Is not my favorite player to target, but if we get a low enough prop, I would really look to the over here. Should get lots of attempts in a close game.
These edibles ain't crap. 20 minutes later, Russell Wilson has 2 touchdowns.
That's right.
All right. Here we go, gentlemen. Zach Wilson is back. So this news came out about 20 minutes ago. Adam Schefter says that he's going to start this weekend. Doctors aren't going to clear Mike White. So the Lions are back in the Meadowlands, where they're already 1-0 this season after a 31-18 victory over the Giants. Should we expect more of the same here, Jeff, and target over 44.5 points right now?
No, this just turned into the easiest underplay of the slate. This also just turned into the easiest bet of the slate with the Detroit Lions on the money line. Zach Wilson, sure, go ahead. Put your money on the Jets if you want. No, there's a reason why this guy got benched and became the third stringer. He's not very good, and he's going up against a Lions team who's actually been pretty good at getting pressure lately. They're going to be hyped up to be going after him. And, what exactly are we expecting that's going to change because Zach Wilson has been on the bench for a couple weeks? I don't see anything. He was not good at moving the ball before he came in, and now he's going up against a team that, I think is still getting a little bit underrated. Like I said, their defensive line, their pressure rate is up. This is a tough spot all of a sudden for a guy to be coming back against. And, the Lions offense is going to be putting pressure on the Jets as well because they've been moving the ball well. So no, take the under here. I don't think the Jets are going to score many points, and take the Lions as well.
Yeah, Pierce, how all of a sudden does your betting approach change to this game now that Zach Wilson is under center?
Are we seriously changing that much from Mike White to Zach Wilson? I don't think it moves
yes, we
the
are.
needle that
Have you
much
seen
at
Zach
all.
Wilson play football with the Jets the last year and a half?
Doesn't he have a
Not
better
good.
win-loss record than Mike White? I mean, he gets enough points that he's beating other teams. I don't think that there is that much of a difference. Now, I mean, I agree that is the question. The Jets offense, what do we make of them? We know that Detroit's offense is really good. We know that Detroit's defense is really bad. We know that the Jets defense is really good. The one uncertainty that we have to unravel is what do we make of Zach Wilson and this offense? If it's a blowout, then I think Wilson's going to be fine. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be a blowout. If we think that the Lions offense is very good, then they could possibly get up by 2 scores. And the Lions up by 2 scores with a bad defense, facing a Jets team that's probably going to be a lot more aggressive than normal. And that's one of the things that hurts him, is that Robert Saleh and this offense, in a close game, I hate the way that they're going to call plays and the way that they're going to approach it with Zach Wilson. But if you get them down by 10 points or 2 touchdowns, then they're going to have to let Zach Wilson throw more. You're going to get Zach Wilson using his legs more. They'll probably still lose, probably won't be close, but they're going to get enough points on the board to get over this pretty small 44 total.
All right, gentlemen, last question here. We'll just combine the last 2 we originally had for you. So big picture, what's your favorite over or your favorite under of week 15? Jeff?
Yeah, I really like the over in this Raiders Patriots game. Yeah, again, like you look at what the Raiders have done just in terms of, over the second half of the year. I mean, their defense is just crumbling. I know people looked at the last game. Oh, there was like 33 points, but that was a short week. They're taking on the Rams offense and they were on the road. They were just trying not to lose basically. And they played a slow paced game and it bit them. I don't think that's going to happen here. The Patriots are going to be able to move the ball. Damian Harris potentially back, Hunter Henry. They'll move the ball because the Raiders secondary is terrible. And then on the other side, you've got arrested Josh Jacobs. You've got, Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and the whole coaching narrative here. I love the over here. I think this game will be a little bit faster paced. And you'll get points on both sides. And Mac Jones, again, just been able to move the ball lately. That game against Arizona probably would have gone over if if Kyler Murray had stayed in the game. And I think you're going to see a similar game here with the Patriots putting up points, but with the Raiders potentially putting up the same number or even more points.
All right, Pierce.
Adding to what Jeff said, Belichick is only 14-12 against his former coaches. You think that he would be able to outcoach his former staff, but it probably works better the other way. It's tougher for him to game plan and scheme against all the different coaches, whereas they just have to scheme against the guy that they know pretty well. And so you see the opposing coach often get the best of Bill Belichick. But the play that I really like is taking the over in the Dolphins and the Bills. It's 9-4 against the spread over the last 20 years when we play these cold winter months. Often people just assume that, it's going to be a cold game in Buffalo. We're not going to get very many points, and that pushes the total down. And we've got a 42 total, which is very low. I don't expect Tua or either of these offenses to play pretty well, but the trend says that the total gets pushed down way too low. 9-4 over in the last 20 years.
Yeah, Emerson, I have a minor in weatherology, and Pierce is right. Like the wind isn't too bad. There's just going to be a little bit of snow. So I think that's
really. And what they were saying, I do. And what they were saying was, they being weather folks on Twitter, was that like the band's coming through. It's through all weekend. So like 14 inches over 3 days for Orchard Park is actually nothing. It's not like 6 feet falling in one day. That total's sitting at 44 right now. All right, guys, appreciate it. Sunday slate is going to wrap up with the Giants and the Commanders. So 2 teams that tied 2 weeks ago. Here's Jesse and Jules with some advice for your showdown lineups.
I like those 2.
Hey guys, Jesse Cofield here along with DraftKings contributor Julian Edlow. Welcome to this week's Showdown Spotlight presented by KFC. We have a huge NFC East showdown on Sunday night as the Giants visit the Commanders. Now, both teams currently sit in a playoff spot, but one of these squads could be knocked out of one after Sunday night. So pivotal matchup, Julian, who are you locking into your KFC bucket pick?
Yeah, we just saw these 2 teams play, obviously, and have a 20-20 tie in the division in overtime. And now Giants have played a game since. Washington actually was on bye, so they're playing consecutive games against the Giants. This is probably going to be another NFC East grinder. So I want to take the guy who we know is going to touch the ball the most, and that's probably going to be Saquon Barkley. He got 23 touches in this matchup the last time around, 5 of them receptions, scored a touchdown. So I think he's the only guy in the game that we can really count on for a large workload, and that's the guy I want.
All right, so who are you going to be stacking with your bucket pick?
Like I mentioned, this is probably going to be a grinder, so I'll go to the defensive side, and I think you can really go either way, Washington or New York, special teams and defense. I think it's going to be that type of game, but seeing we took Barkley, it kind of fits well to go with the same team, defensive and special teams, so I will take the Giants on defense there and hope maybe they get a turnover, turns into a Saquon rushing TD, something like that.
Good stuff. Thank you, Julian, and thank you guys for watching this week's Showdown Spotlight presented by Kentucky Fried Chicken. A bucket of KFC plus sides is the perfect way to feed the whole family during the holidays. Feast on all your family favorites like juicy chicken, crispy tenders, tasty sides, and more. That's finger-licking good.
All right, so we have what 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 games on the NBA slate tonight. Let's talk some best bets. Let's talk some best bets with DraftKings contributors, Gary and Thorne and Jeff Pratt. Jeff, congratulations. Robert Williams will play basketball today. How was it last night staring at his poster on your bedroom ceiling?
Oh my goodness, it was amazing. I couldn't sleep for like 5 hours.
I know you kept texting me. It was quite uncomfortable. Give me a team that's covering their point spread tonight, dude.
8.5 points is quite a bit in the NBA, but I honestly think there's a chance the Sixers double that or even triple it if we're getting crazy against the Warriors tonight. You know, to put it simply, Golden State is in a lot of trouble without Steph Curry, and that's going to be the case for this team for at least the next few weeks. We know he's out at least the next 2 weeks. Now, they'll eventually get used to playing without Curry, but it's going to be ugly right off the bat. They've also dropped 4 of their last 5, so it's not like they were playing great basketball with him in the lineup anyway. And then you look at Philly, on the other hand, they've won 3 straight. They're coming off a really convincing performance against the Kings. Golden State just doesn't have anyone who can come close to defending Joel Embiid. There's a legitimate chance he goes for 60 points tonight. So I think they're going to absolutely destroy him.
All right, Gare Bear, what say you?
I'm going to go with a smaller line. Give me Denver, who is a 1-point road favorite in Los Angeles tonight. Nuggets really seem to be coming into their own, even without Michael Porter Jr. available the last couple weeks. Over their last 10 games, they have the 4th best net rating in the NBA. The Lakers have also been pretty bad when faced by average to above average teams. They racked up a couple wins there. They got a little hot going up against pretty bad teams, but they are actually 3-12-1 ATS their last 16 games against teams above 500. The Nuggets fall into that category. I think they take care of business tonight, even on the road.
All right, dude. Game total you are targeting this evening on the DK Sportsbook, Gare Bear.
So you would be a very rich man if you just kept betting the under in Cavaliers games, especially when they're at home. They are 8-0 to the under their last 8 home games. They are 13-3 to the under in their last 16 games overall. The reason for that, really simple. Over the last 10 games, they are the best defensive team in basketball by defensive rating. They also operate at the slowest pace of any team in basketball. Sometimes it's really simple. The Pacers are the exact opposite. So maybe this game environment is at a little bit of risk of not being what the Cavaliers want it to be, but I think at home they'll dictate the terms. I think this game goes under, as it usually does for the Cavs.
Pacers are 4th in pace, as you mentioned. Last time the Cavs played a team top 10 in pace, they had their lone over of those last 10 games, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
He's completely calling out your pick. Gary.
I know.
This is just a conversation. It's like a podcast, hanging out with my buddies, just saying, hey, man,
Of course.
just want you to know you should think about this too. I know you do, because you're a smart man. You don't take offense to smart stuff. Jeff, do you have something smart to say about this total or a total tonight?
Wow. I'm just going to blow by that completely because I'm not talking about this game. I'm talking about a game with a very projected high game total. Whenever you see that total in the high 230s, immediately you have to be skeptical. And that's the case with Pistons Kings tonight. And honestly, I think this number is way too high considering how these teams have been playing lately. Yes, the Kings are the beam. They've had the best offensive rating in NBA history for a while, or at least they did earlier in the season, but they've also scored 106 points or fewer in 3 of their last 4 games. Part of why I think this number is inflated is due to Detroit's last game, which went to overtime and finished 141-134. But before that, the Pistons had scored 103 and 98 points in 2 of their last 4 games. Both of these teams are certainly capable of racking up the points, but 238.5 is a really high number, and they haven't been playing up to par lately. So I think they'll go under.
All right, dude. Pratt, hook me up with a player prop listed on the board right now that you would target.
I'm going right back to the Sixers-Warriors game and taking Joel Embiid over 31.5 points. It's really simple. The only way I see this over not hitting is if the Sixers are up 30 at halftime, which is always a possibility heading into this one. As much as I love Kevon Looney from an individual standpoint, he doesn't have a chance at containing Embiid tonight. There's a world where he fouls out 5 minutes into the second quarter, and then Golden State has to try putting James Wiseman on Joel Embiid. Regardless of who's defending him, he's going to hit the over on this points prop tonight, as long as he sees enough minutes to get there.
Gare Bear, prop daddy, hook us up.
So this one's got a little juice on it, but I'm looking for like any reason to be optimistic about the Raptors lately. So I will take Scotty Barnes over 3.5 assists tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. The reason this prop has a little juice, it's minus 165. Barnes has actually gone over this number in 17 of his last 20 games. So it's something he pretty consistently does, coming off tying his season high in assists with 10 against the Kings on Wednesday. Had a little sit-down meeting with Masai Ujiri. Maybe he's getting back on track. Who knows? I don't know. But he should be able to get 4 assists in this game against the Nets, as again, it's something he's done in 85% of his last 20 appearances.
An underdog pulling off an upset. I say that. You say, Garion.
I'm going right back. This is kind of the beauty of these weird, like, 2-game sets. I'm going right back to the Knicks. I took the Knicks to beat the Bulls in Chicago on Wednesday. I'll admit it took a little longer than I was comfortable with it taking. Julius Randle dribbling out that clock to take like a contested fadeaway 21-footer to win the game.
Oh my God.
Complete air, nothing but air. But still, the Knicks are a better team than the Bulls. I don't care that this game is in Chicago. Across their last 10 games, the Knicks have the best net rating in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks might be okay. The Bulls, I don't think we can say the same thing.
And New York has won 6 of its last 10 matchups against Chicago here.
They hey, they play in big cities. They don't play well in New York, but they play well in other big cities.
I don't have much to add here. That's my pick as well. I think I don't love a lot of underdogs on this slate, but the one I do love is Knicks over Bulls. Chicago is just a train wreck right now. This team shouldn't be as bad as they are when you look at the talent on their squad, but for whatever reason, it's just not working. And, maybe they don't blow it up. If they do, not saying they should take that proposed Lakers offer or whatever it was where they swapped DeMar for Russell Westbrook, but, they might need to look at switching things up down the line because they have a lot of money committed to star players. And right now, they're not even going to sniff the play-in game. And the Knicks have won 5 straight, including a game over the Bulls on Tuesday. So I think they're going to pick up right where they left off.
All right, dudes. Last one here. Just give me your best bet overall for tonight's NBA action. 10-game slate on the DK Sportsbook. Gare Bear.
Well, I'm a little worried about it now because you brought up a counterpoint so beautifully, but I think I do just have to go with that Cavaliers under. Again, it hits so often. So often. It's one of my favorite trends to follow so far this season. They're just so good at defense and they're so slow. It's the perfect combination. I will take that under. It's 225.5 right now. I'm perfectly comfortable with that.
I may end up watching that game tonight now that you and I have our own little rivalry going.
Yeah, text me.
All right. Yeah, we'll do. I actually already have.
I saw.
All right, Pratt, what's your best bet tonight?
It would be a Sixers spread. I'll give a different one just for the sake of it. I'm sorry, Garion. I have to go with the Nets money line against the Raptors. Fine. I feel bad for picking against your team, but it's really hard to feel good about.
I endorse this pick.
It's tough, man. Toronto's always a tough place to play on the road, but the Raptors just are not playing well right now. They've dropped 4 of their last 5. That stretch has included back-to-back losses against the Magic, who I guess are playing good basketball right now.
They're good now. They scored 50 points in a quarter.
Yeah, there you go. They come to Boston tonight. We'll see how they do against Robert Williams. On the other hand, Brooklyn's on fire right now. They've won 4 in a row, 8 of their last 10. Kevin Durant's back to playing at an MVP caliber level. Kyrie Irving's been much more consistent. Ben Simmons is doing things on the basketball court. These teams are just heading in complete opposite directions. So this could be ugly.
No. I think Raptors are undervalued a little bit, Gare Bear, after a late collapse by the Kings on Wednesday. I'm siding with Gare Bear. I got to do a quick wrap here. I love you guys. Yeah, wow's damn right, pal. Go tweet.
I think Garion was siding with me.
No,
my heart.
Wasn't.
Emerson knows where my heart was siding.
Of course.
All right, here we go. We yesterday we recorded a 3-part college football bowl season preview with Jules, with Chinmay, and Colin. So here's part 1, including some of the bowl games that start today. Bowl season is here, baby. 'Tis the season. All right, bowl season is here, baby. We're kicking it off on Friday with Miami of Ohio as a double-digit dog taking on UAB. That's in the Bahamas Bowl, people. Followed by the Cure Bowl, pairing up 2 conference champions here, Jules. So I got Troy and UTSA. Jules, hook us up with a bet here. And sources tell me you've been targeting the Cure Bowl in O-Town, home of College Emerson.
Sure. As fun as the Bahamas Bowl is, and I would probably lay the points with UAB there. Miami, Ohio is going to be without a lot of people. I like going to Troy better here. You can take them on the money line. It's more of a pick 'em type of game. Both conference champions won plenty of games. I think UTSA is going to be without more here, so I will go to the Troy side of things if you need a Friday play to kick off bowl season.
Colin, what do you want here between these two?
Yeah, actually, that's what we're doing a little bowl pool here at DK Nation, and Troy is one of my top 3 picks on the board. Actually, getting 1.5. Troy's just playing better football at this time of year. Sometimes these season-long statistics that we're taking in don't account for teams that have gotten better. Troy's 11-2 this year, but they're playing much better football. They haven't lost a game since like October. Really moving along. And as the Sun Belt champions, that was a tough league this year. And the fact that they took a Coastal Carolina team that was pretty good and just blew them out in the championship game. They're not losing anybody due to early entries to the draft or transfers, thing like that. They're playing this with a full deck. So yeah, Troy is really one of the best bets, I think, of all of bowl season, and I'll be on the Trojans.
All right, Chimay, UTSA looking for back-to-back 12-win seasons here for the first time in school history before leaping over to the AAC, bud.
Yeah, I think UTSA is going to have to wait on that one. Troy looking really good in the championship game against Coastal Carolina. That's what swung it for me, I think, on this one. I'm going with Troy here. Nothing more to add that Julian and Colin haven't already said. They look really good, and they should be poised for a big bowl win here.
All right, well, Saturday brings us plenty of Power 5 flavor here. We got, games with some coaching intrigue. Oh, Deion Sanders will coach his final game at Jackson State before taking off for Colorado. So that's in the Celebration Bowl here. Then there's the Awkward Bowl at Fenway Park. So Scott Satterfield going from Louisville to Cincinnati. What is it bet you like from these two games here, Jules?
If we're looking at these ones, I think like Fenway, this game is going to be pretty gross. We have a lot of opt-outs on both sides. We have a Cincinnati and Louisville team coming up to chilly Fenway Park to play in a weird atmosphere where there aren't going to be much for fan base other than one Emerson Latzia in the crowd who's going to be cheering for God knows what.
He's sucking down glizzies and hot chocolate.
Right. I'm going under in this one. I cannot see many points going on the board in this game. So, yeah, I think that's the way to play it. I know that's kind of boring, but 11 a.m. kickoff at Fenway Park between Louisville with opt-outs and Cincinnati with opt-outs under.
Yeah, Colin, let's see. Both programs there being run by interim head coaches, right? So maybe you don't foresee a whole lot of scoring.
Oh, you know what? Just take Louisville here. Just take the look. Bowl games are so often about motivation and how players want to play. This is completely about who wants to be there. And Louisville wants to really stick it to Cincinnati. This is an old, ancient rivalry that got stopped playing. The keg of nails is on the line here. Scott Satterfield, by the way, sources close to the Louisville program tell me those players really hated Scott Satterfield, and they'd really like to stick it to him. So for me, this is just take Louisville. We can overthink this, and we can look at the numbers and the math. And yeah, it's one right now. I had it at Pick'em, but you can overthink these things. Motivation in bowl games. Remember, these are glorified exhibition games that we're all just degenerately betting on because it's fun. Look at motivation. It's the number one thing to target, especially in the smaller games. The smaller the game, the more the motivation matters. Give me Louisville. Louisville. This one's easy.
I mean, Chimay, any reason to look at the Celebration Bowl here, dude? Because we know how much more talent Jackson State has than NC Central. Question I think is going to be, how are players going to handle this being Prime's last game?
Well, that was a great hire by Colorado. Let's talk about that for a second. Colorado swung it completely out of the park with that one. They went and got the one guy who has more upside than some of these other coaches that we've seen get hired in this cycle when it comes to that type of Power 5 program that really needs a lift. I think the kids really like Deion Sanders, and I think he is going to be able to get the most out of them in this final game. You mentioned it's a Celebration Bowl. It's like a celebration of what Deion has done at Jackson State and sort of the program that he's built there. I think the kids are going to want to play hard for him. So I would take Jackson State in that game. As far as the Fenway Bowl, I don't have the sources that Colin does, but if you look at Twitter, basically every Louisville player, former player, people who are in the administration, things like that, did not have a good thing to say about Scott Satterfield. So those players, whether they opt out or not, we don't know who's going to be on the field until later on, closer to that bowl game. those players don't like Scott Satterfield, and they definitely don't want to lose to a former rival in Cincinnati. So maybe it's a, ugly game. Maybe it's not one that's really, must see TV, but I would take the Cardinals in that one. They're really going to get up for that game.
All right, boys, we got
What?
What?
I was
Say
going to say,
it.
don't worry. Look, Malik Cunningham's not playing. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Louisville still, they got to go back up. They're going to be fine. Louisville. It's easy.
Okay, we got SMU around a field goal favorite here over BYU. Southern Miss laying 6.5 against Rice. Boise State a double-digit favorite over the Mean Green of North Texas. What is your bet du jour from these three games, Jules?
Yeah, so on these ones, I personally bet SMU at -120 on the money line. I put it out, I think, at 3. It's at 3.5 as we record. Whatever, that's fine. This one might close at a touchdown, and I think SMU would be the side. BYU is going to be the team without everybody. BYU is going to be without Jaron Hall. They're going to be without a million pass catchers. They're going to be without a million key defenders. They have all the opt-outs, and while SMU is going to be missing their best pass catcher, they're going to have their quarterback in the mix. This is going to be the side. They're going to close a big favorite and probably wind up getting there. We're going to talk about a lot of movement and stuff on this show. Brad Powers recently gave out on VSiN, if you're just chasing steam in these bowl games and just following where the money goes, 9-5-1 since 2020, you would have gone betting the closing numbers. Even if it's moved 5, 6, 7 points, you're still going to get there. So I think the movement in this one is warranted, and it will move more.
Okay, Colin, which game you want to target here for a bet?
Man, I hate when Joel steals my thunder like this. Like we were texting about some other games that are sort of in the same boat here. BYU doesn't have anybody. Let me give you a list. Backup quarterback Jacob Conover is also in the transfer portal, by the way. So it's not that BYU's on their second guy; they're on their third guy. Campbell Barrington is out as well. So they're going to be in trouble here. They just don't have the bodies right now. SMU playing with mostly a full deck. TJ McDaniel's in the portal, but otherwise they should be pretty okay. And again, motivation here. SMU had a nice season. They put it together there towards the end. They've got something to build on. They've also got a young team that they're going to probably bring in a transfer quarterback, but they got a team that they can build around here for 2023. This was BYU's shot, and they had a disappointing season. I had BYU as a top 15 type of team this year. They came nowhere close to that. They really just weren't as physical as I thought they'd be. So this is a disappointing season. Who else wants to go to Albuquerque in the middle of the year? I think SMU wants to be there, and BYU doesn't. So yeah, give me the ponies.
Chinmay, you're up.
Yeah, Julian and Colin hit this right on the head. BYU just doesn't have players, and that's been the story for the Cougars this whole season. They haven't had players. SMU, on the other hand, great offensive team. There might be some opt-outs, but most of those guys should be back intact. That offensive unit is an absolute fire this season, or has been on absolute fire this entire season. I don't see it stopping in the bowl game. I think they're going to put a ton of points up on BYU. Cougars just don't have the bodies to respond to that. So give me the Mustangs in this one as well.
Yeah, maybe BYU overlooking this game a little bit, Colin, to the move to the Big 12. Big programs making their way there.
Okay.
Thanks, dude. Great show so far.
Thanks.
What do you want me to say? Congrats, SMU. Congrats, BYU. They're making a move.
Thank you.
BYU, they're going to the Big 12. They're going to have a really tough time competing there. It's going to be tougher for them when they're in a league than being out of a league. These BYU schedules in the recent years have been really, really soft.
Yep.
But it is what it is, and I think they have a national brand that they're going to be able to recruit, especially in the Pacific Islands, where they get a lot of their stud impact players from, and they're going to be able to say you can play for a conference championship. But I still think they're going to really struggle to compete in that league.
Jules, Washington State an underdog against Fresno State, and then you got Oregon State a 10-point favorite versus Florida here. So give us a lean you like in either matchup.
Yeah, because I'm in studio, I keep getting to go first and steal all the great points. It's excellent.
Yeah, we're going to change
often.
that moving forward.
No, I like the format. I tried to lay 6.5 with Oregon State here when Anthony Richardson opted out. Couldn't get it through. It's now at 10. Oregon State is like a money line piece if you want it. I like them in this game. They win their bowl games. But for the play, we're following the steam. I played Fresno as a dog. I put him out as a play at -3. Colin's going to be angry, so I'll save all the analysis for him. But even at 3.5, Fresno State.
All right, Colin, did he save you some room to make points of your own?
I gave no points. I just said Fresno.
0. Okay, here's the deal. Washington State has nobody playing. There will be, in fact, if you can get to the Palouse pretty quickly. You could probably get a jersey for this game if you'd like to play the season. Just get yourself enrolled quickly. They don't have a lot of bodies. And also, I have one question going into this game. Does Jake Haener have a pulse? Because if Jake Haener is going to play, he's one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in this country. He's been completely underrated all year. He's also been hurt a lot because he's about 5'8", $150. But he's got a huge arm, plays just is such an inspiration for that team. I don't know if there's a quarterback in this country that affects the line more for their specific team than Jake Haener does for Fresno State. He's healthy. Somehow he's going to go. If Fresno State is catching him or they're laying 3, that's fine. If they're laying 3.5, that's fine. I'd play this up to 6.5, honestly. I think they're just going to blow this out. And this should be a fun game. It should be a lot of points back and forth, but Fresno State's offense is just going to take advantage.
I mean, there's Haener, and then on the other side, Wazoo's Cameron Ward here, Chinmay. So we're talking two of the best quarterbacks on the West Coast here.
Yeah, and it really hinges on the quarterbacks for this bet, I think, for me personally at least. If both quarterbacks don't play, I think the teams are fairly even with Washington State having a lot of opt-outs. And in that case, I would just go with the underdog in a bowl game at that point. I think both teams are even without their quarterbacks. But if one quarterback plays and the other doesn't, then it's a huge difference. I mean, this is the most important position on the field. Both guys have been lights out this season when they've played. Haener obviously had the big season last year, didn't quite live up to expectations this year, largely due to injury. But if he comes back, I would take Fresno, and if Ward is in and Haener is out, I would take Washington State. If both guys are in, I think I would take Washington State as the underdog in this one.
All right, everybody, lots of college football there to satisfy your college football palate if you're craving that. Anywho, 3 games tonight around the association. Let's get into it with the riveting RotoWire duo of AJ Scholes and Paul Bruno. So we're going to make our way through each game here, gentlemen. You hook me up with a DFS play you like or a bet. So Blackhawks visiting the Wild. What's your favorite bet or fantasy play on DraftKings here, AJ?
Well, I'll look at showdown slate for this one in terms of DFS. And I'm intrigued by the idea of going with Marc-Andre Fleury as the starter here. The Blackhawks have scored just 5 goals in their last 5 games, and 3 of those came in one matchup against, I forget who, doesn't matter. But so, yeah, not a lot of offense coming from the Blackhawks right now. And I think it's a good thing to maybe target using Fleury as your captain in the showdown slate or as your goaltender in the main classic slate as well.
Okay, Paul, how about you, man?
I like the same thing. I went to the underside of the 2.5 goals for the Hawks plus 195. So I'll also add in on the DFS side, take the Minnesota top line for a stack because Sam Steele brings down the average cost to 4,000. The other 2 guys are red hot.
All right, gentlemen, let's go to the next one. A dude you're going to roster in DFS and a bet you're hammering in tonight's Blues Flames matchup. So you can give us both here, AJ.
All right, so I'm going to go with Adam Ruzicka at 3,600. He's actually tied for Calgary in the team lead of points in December here with Michael Backlund. So a great kind of value play, getting a look on the second power play unit. Overall, though, I've been unimpressed with Calgary of late. They're in a 4-game losing streak right now, and to some not good teams. They lost to Montreal and Columbus during this 4-game stretch. So betting-wise, I actually like the Blues on the money line. It returns plus 190 value. That's a really good return for a team that's been playing a little bit better, and Calgary obviously playing poorly right now.
Okay, Paul?
I'll take Vlad Tarasenko at $5,500. That's a low price for a guy who has a rugged presence and high-end scoring skills and plays on the top power play unit over there. His line with Shen and Buchnevich might also be a cheap stack play, with the others costing $3,900 and $5,300 respectively.
All right. Did you have a bet from it, Paul, that you like?
Yeah, I do. I like Chicago, like St. Louis tonight. The Blues are playing a hard game, and that could be a problem for the Flames. They match up pretty well offensively and in goal. So I see plenty of value on the money line for St. Louis at plus 190 there.
AJ, your DFS play and your bet from Islanders and Coyotes. So Islanders are going to head out west there and kick it around in the desert.
Yeah, so with the travel there, I'm a little hesitant on the Islanders here, having to go out west here. So for DFS, I'm going to look at the blue line in this one and go with Shane Gostisbehere for Arizona at 5,400. significantly cheaper than teammate Jacob Chicherin, but he's been producing at a similar level. Gostisbehere 11 points in his last 10 games, including 17 shots over that stretch. And then I'll stick with Gostisbehere in terms of my sportsbook plays here.
Yep.
You can get him plus 105 to pick up a point in this contest. Pretty decent even money value. And then both of these penalty kills have been really bad in the month of December. So I would consider grabbing some power play props here. There's a whole bunch you could consider. I'm targeting Clayton Keller at plus 200 or Matthew Barzell at plus 125, but both PKs really struggling right now.
All right, Paul, what do you want here? Fantasy and sportsbook.
Lawson Krause will be very comfortable playing the physical game that the Islanders like to lean on, and he leads the Coyotes with 13 goals in 26 games played, costing only $4,300, so I see value there. Pairing him with line mate Matthias Maccelli is a nice cheap option too. Maccelli, $2,800 for a guy who's got 10 points in his last 9 games played. In terms of the money, the sports line, I look at Arizona on the money line at plus 155. Look, the Islanders are limited to only 18 goals in their last 7 games played. And I think that since Arizona's been home, they've won their last 2 games against big physical clubs as well. And both of them were better than the opposition they faced tonight.
Paul, you are free to go. AJ, stick around. Let's get some World Cup best bets here ahead of a busy weekend, the final weekend here of the tournament coming up next. All right, gentlemen, RotoWire's AJ Scholes, DK Nation's Chinmay Vaidya. You know why you're here. Football is life, boys. So let's look at some sportsbook plays here ahead of the World Cup's consolation and final matches this weekend. Chinmay, we know like Morocco just went on this improbable run, fell short of reaching the finals. Can they end on a high note here against Croatia and fill us once again with the joy of the underdog reigning supreme? What is the bet?
There is prize money at stake here. The third place team gets prize money. The fourth place team gets prize money. It's actually not that big of a difference. I think it's a $2 million difference overall.
That's a big difference.
Both teams are getting a nice payday here, which is good for Morocco and Croatia. It really helps their infrastructures, building up their soccer programs respectively with the payout. But I do like Morocco to win this game, plus 115 on the sportsbook right now to win third or to finish third place. They've played well. They've defended extremely well, and they want to end this tournament with something to hang their hat on. I also like the unders for goals in this. This is going to be a defensive showdown, I think. Under 0.5 goals, which is basically 0-0 in regular time, is coming in at plus 1,000. Under 1.5 goals is plus 265. Under 2.5 is minus 110. So, even money play, even at 2.5 is pretty solid for you. I'd probably go, all 3 unders are worth a play. I think it's going to be a low scoring contest. And we saw, there was a draw in the group stage between these teams that was 0-0, I believe. So yeah, there's some evidence to suggest that it could happen again.
AJ, what's the move here, dude? So Morocco plus 210 on the money line, Croatia plus 135, draw plus 245.
Yeah, I'm with Chinmay on pretty much everything that he just said here. If you don't want the risk of the possible draw, I like taking Morocco plus 115 on just to finish third overall. I like the idea of taking all 3 of those unders. One of them's for sure going to hit, in my opinion. So you'll cash enough there to kind of cover you. So I like that option there as well. And part of it is not only has Morocco been so defensively sound, even in that game against France, this Croatian team has played a lot of extra minutes. And we're looking at a potential swan song for Ivan Perisic, Luka Modric, probably a few others. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these guys subbed off early to get standing ovations from their supporters that are there. So I wouldn't expect them to play full games. And so I think this is going to be more of like almost a testimonial match for some of these Croatian guys. Certainly pride and money on the line, but this is the end of the line for a number of them. And while I'm sure they would like to win, I think it's more about just taking a final bow here.
Well, AJ, as we go to Sunday here, Argentina and France, like it's truly, truly a battle of the best talent in the sport. And you have like narratives galore, which is fantastic. Like Messi squaring up against Mbappe. Can France defend its title here? Does Messi finally get his World Cup? How are you betting this game?
Well, I think my most intriguing my storyline here is how awkward is that first locker room meeting at PSG going to be when Mbappe and Messi come together? And one of them's just won. One of them's probably got the Golden Boot trophy with him to put up in the locker room as well. So, but in terms of betting here, while you can get more value out of the money line odds, this is definitely a situation where we could see extra time. So I'm leaning more towards the win the cup odds, which are still decent regardless of which way you want to go. I lean towards France here with the -115 win, still decent value. I actually like both Messi and Mbappe to score, which come in at +170, +185 respectively, which has me on both teams to score at -105 here. So I think we're going to see, while the other match is probably low scoring, I think this could be high scoring as well. And I like the over 2.5 at +145.
All right, Chinmay, dude, what's the move?
If Argentina scores a goal here, it's likely going to come from Messi, whether he scores himself or provides an assist. So Messi, anytime goal scorer, I believe it's +160, and Messi to get an assist is +250. So you're looking at a solid play either way on both of those, because if Argentina does score, it's going to come from Messi in one way or another. They really don't have any other creators out there. Olivier Giroud as anytime goal scorer coming in at +280. You know, he's quietly climbed up the Golden Boot standings as well. And I believe he's one goal behind Mbappe and Messi. So he's quietly, you know, snuck up there and provides a lot more value than Mbappe and Messi on the anytime goal scorer line. But I'm with AJ on this in terms of the result. I like a draw in regular time. I think this is going to go to extra time, could even go to PKs. And, you know, the DK Sportsbook offers a team to win in extra time or to win in penalty kicks. And I like the Messi narrative to come to a close here with a World Cup title for Argentina.
Nice.
I like Argentina to win either in extra time or PKs. You're getting tremendous value, +1,300 for the extra time win, +750 for PKs. I think I'm going to sprinkle something on each of those and hope that Messi can get it done in his last World Cup match.
I mean, you guys have been tremendous here with your World Cup coverage over the past, month or so. So much love to both of you guys. By the way, the Golden Boot, you got Messi and Mbappe, joint front runners right now with 5 goals each heading into the final. Dude, this is going to be an exciting weekend. Any closing thoughts just on this entire tournament as a whole, or, you know, looking forward 4 years from now, AJ?
Well, for one, this time around, we saw a fantastic tournament that I think was great for fans. You had extra time games, late winners, you know, a ton of things to be excited about, except, of course, we didn't get that United States win we were all hoping for. But as far as looking ahead, with the smaller groups, I think you're going to have less margin for error. You know, if Argentina loses that opening match in a 3-team group, you absolutely have to win the second match to make it through. So could be really exciting from that standpoint. I think from a betting side of it, I probably will be very hesitant to take any futures pre-tournament, probably wait until after that group stage before I would dive in on any futures, just because it is such a small margin of error there.
Jimmy, what do you think the World Cup's going to look like in 2026? There's going to be 48 teams, more groups, more venues, more games.
Yeah, if you thought it was chaos with 4 teams in each group in this World Cup, which it was, just wait until you get 3 teams in each group. It is going to be absolute nuts. I think I would back the teams that have previously played in World Cups much more frequently from a betting standpoint. You're going to see a lot of new teams in with 48, and there's just teams that don't have experience on this type of stage. And I think they'll falter more easily. So from a betting standpoint, I think you back the teams that have historically done well. And the 3-team groups, I mean, you kind of just have to wait until that final match to get the best idea of who's going to advance out, because it is going to be chaos. We saw in this World Cup some tremendous group stage play. I believe this was the first World Cup since '94 where not a single team finished with 3 wins in the group stage. So everyone had at least a draw or a loss. So that was, again, really exciting. Just shows how competitive this sport is and has become over the last few years with some of these peripheral teams getting up there as well. So I'm really excited for 2026, and we'll see if the U.S. can get it done in that World Cup and in what will be a home World Cup for them.
That would be awesome. We would love to see that. We love seeing you guys. Thanks again for all the fantastic coverage. Thanks everybody for watching the show. We're back at studio live, 11 o'clock Eastern time, Sunday morning, NFL Week 15. We'll see you then.